So, good afternoon to all the students. And in this session, we are going to discuss one topic called as hashing. This part is related to your second unit, last topic. So, it's a very simple topic. Hashing is a very simple topic. We are not going to discuss about how this hashing is implemented programmatically, right? Why? Because nowhere, even in the competitive examinations also, you will not find any questions related to programs and hashing, right? I don't know whether you have questions in the lab session or not, but hashing will go through it in a theoretical manner, right? So I will see some of the examples and we'll see how to solve those examples. All these things we'll do, right? So we'll start this hashing concept with the actual definition of hashing, and then we'll see why this hashing is required in the data structures concept, and then we'll see the requirements of good hash functions, good hashing. We'll see various types of hash functions we have. We'll discuss about hash table, why do we use this hash table, and what are the requirements for the hash table. And then we will go through one important topic. So if a question has been asked in this hashing topic, one definite question is collision resolution techniques. Very, very important, right? It is collision resolution. Can you see my annotations?
Yes, sir.
Techniques. Very important. Collision resolution techniques, right? So in this particular topic, we'll discuss what collision is and how do we resolve those collisions. What are the disadvantages and advantages we have with the various collision resolution techniques. All these things we'll discuss. So majorly, I am going to divide this hashing function into two parts. The first part is regarding the introduction, where we'll discuss the basics regarding this hashing, what hashing is, why hashing is required, what are the requirements for good hash functions, types of hash functions, hash table. So once we are done with the introduction part of this hashing, we are going to discuss the second part called the collision resolution techniques. In this we will discuss what collision is and what are the various collision resolution techniques theoretically. Is it clear up to this agenda part?
Yes, sir.
Right. So hashing we will see some of the mathematical concepts in this hashing also. We will use some of the techniques like functions for this hashing technique, right? So what a hashing is a technique which makes the user to identify an object uniquely from a group of similar objects. Syamala, is it Spandana? Nonsense. So hashing is a technique which is used to uniquely identify one particular object from a group of similar objects, right? If you take the real time examples of this hashing technique, one is the student registration number in the universities. For example, in your class you have a strength of around 61 candidates, right? How can I uniquely identify a particular student? Can anybody give me the reason? Give me the answer for this one. How can I identify a student uniquely?
Based on their roll numbers.
Roll numbers.
By making use of roll numbers. Okay, this is one solution, right? And there is other, by names also I can identify them uniquely, right? But when I make use of the names to uniquely identify an object from a group of similar objects, you may have a person with same two persons with same
Names, sir.
names.
Two per
Duplication might be there, but here hashing is a technique where you can identify the object uniquely. No other object should have that name. So for this purpose I am going to go for the roll numbers. So how can one be identified uniquely throughout the country?
by
in
their
India.
Aadhaar card or passport, sir.
By their Aadhaar number, right, or the passports. Like that we have different unique identification numbers to identify the citizens of India. In the similarly books in libraries, right, you have some accession number, thereby you can identify a particular book uniquely from the set of books that are available in the library. So how we are going to make a particular object identified uniquely from the group of objects, and what technique you are using or what process you are using, that technique we call it as hashing, right. So in general thing also, for example, another example is car parking area or the parking area in apartments, right. So if you go to a movie and you just park your bike as it is in a row, and then you view the movie, and then when you return it becomes very difficult to identify your bike. You have to perform a linear search where you have to start your searching process from the first bike, and then you keep on comparing with the bike, and then when you find the result you will take a lot of time, right. But when you consider the parking mechanism that is implemented in the apartments,
Parking slots.
super, right. So every flat in the apartment is given the parking slot, right. So whenever you are inserting an element, that means whenever you are parking your car, you will park that your car in a slot that is prescribed for you. Is it right or not? That means one parking area will be prescribed for your flat, and when you make a parking of your car, you just insert your car in that parking slot only. So when you want to take the car out, then what you will do, you will simply remember that number, some F4 or T4, T3 like that, and then you can directly go to that particular element or the particular parking slot, and then you can take out your car, right. So this hashing mechanism or technique can be used to speed up the process of searching, right. You get very efficient searching mechanism using this hashing, right. Like an example which I have just now described regarding this parking slots in the apartments. So when you go to a common place, then you park your bike as it is, that means there is no methodology involved in the insertion of your bike or in the parking of the bike, right. So while inserting there is no mechanism, so while deleting you have to first search that element. So for searching you will perform a linear search, and then the linear search itself takes lot of time, and then when you identify your bike you just take out your bike and come out, right. But the second counterpart is you implement some restrictions, or you give some restrictions, you impose some restrictions while inserting your bike. You will put an restriction that you have to park your own car in the slot prescribed for you only, right. So insertion imposes lot of restrictions. So when you impose restrictions on the insertion of an element, then the deletion part will be done very easily. Why? Because the searching process takes very less time, right. So the most of the time that you spend in the deletion operation is the search operation only, even if you consider the arrays also, right. For example, I have element 10 here, 9, 8, 7, 15, 12. I want to delete the element 10. First of all, what you have to do, in order to perform the deletion operation, you have to find whether the element is present there or not. You have to check whether 10 is present inside the array or not, right? So while inserting, you have not put any restrictions. Whatever element you come, first 9 has come, it has kept in the 0th slot, next 8 has visited, then it is kept in the first slot, like that. You have not imposed any restrictions. So insertion is very easy, but the deletion operation, which also involves the search operation, is a very difficult task. So in order to simplify, here you can observe that the deletion of 10 requires the search operation also. You have to first search for this 10, and then when you find this 10 position, you can remove it directly, right? But consider another case where you are putting some restrictions while you are inserting the element into the array, right? So you follow some rules, not restrictions. You can simply say it as rules. You follow some rules, or you follow some mechanisms to insert the element at a required position. So you keep track of those records. So for example, if I want to insert 10, I will do some mechanism, or I will implement a technique such that I will get one key. So you will get one key, and based upon that key I have inserted the element. So next time when I want to delete the element, there is no need for the search operation to be performed. Why? Because you have key at your location, or you have key at your hands. So you make use of this key, you directly go to that element and then make the deletion operation. So this is the difference between a normal search operation or a normal deletion operation and a deletion operation that involves searching. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So the main purpose of hashing mechanism is to make an efficient searching process, right? You can always say that the search operation is having the time complexity of big O of 1. What do you mean by big O of 1? Anybody please respond? We have only one operation that is performed to identify that particular element, right? So but for the remaining operations, search operations, it varies from big O of n square to big O of n log n, like that. For example, n square is for the linear search and n log n is something called as binary search, right? So the search operations involves this type of complexities. Can anybody tell me what is this big O?
Average time count.
What is that one?
Worst case.
Right, it is worst case time complexity, right? As you know that the efficiency of the algorithm should always be measured, and it is better to measure the efficiency of the algorithm with respect to the worst case analysis only. So worst case analysis is represented by the asymptotic notation, which is called as big O notation, right? So big O, right? So in the search operation, while making use of this hashing technique, the search operation takes big O of 1. May I know the reason why it is big O of 1? Anybody?
ఆల్రెడీ ముందే కీ ఉంది కదా సార్, డైరెక్ట్ గా ఎలిమెంట్ తోనే కంపేర్ చేస్తాం సార్, ఈక్వల్ కాదు.
Super, right? So while we are inserting the element, we do some mechanism, or we follow some rules, and we find out the key, and the element is inserted based upon this key, right? Let us assume that the element is value, right? For every value you are going to insert, you are going to generate a key. So it can be called as a key value pair also, no doubt. So it can be called as a key value pair. So when you want to insert a value, you are generating a key. So for each and every value you will have a key. So the insertion operation is implemented by generating these keys, and you will insert based upon this key. So for the deletion operation, there is no need to go for the search operation from in a linear or binary search, right? You have the key, you can directly access that location, then you can delete it directly. So remember, all this explanation what I have given is first thing, what is hashing? Hashing is a technique in order to identify uniquely a specific object from a group of similar objects. And why do we require this hashing? The hashing technique is used to make an efficient searching mechanism. If somebody asks you what will be the search time complexity for the search operation in hashing, means you can undoubtedly say that it is big O of 1, right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right, this is what I have discussed. An object is assigned a key. An object is nothing but, here you can say it as a value. Right. So whenever you want to insert an object, you have to perform some calculations and you assign a key for that value, right? And this is exclusively used to make the searching process easy. This is very important. So the primary purpose of hashing is it makes the searching process very easy. Right. Next, as I told that we can call it as a key value pair. We can call it as a key value pair. What is that you want to store inside the array? It is the value you are storing, but you are not storing the value as it is. You make some modifications or you apply some mathematical functions on this value to generate a key. So every value will have a key. So based upon this key, the value is inserted. So that we call it as a key value pair. Every value will have a key. So that is called as a key value pair, right? So for example, can I make use of arrays for this key value concept? Right. For example, what is the index range of this particular array which I have drawn here? It starts with 0 and ends with 6. So total the size of the array is 7 elements, right? For example, I want to insert an element 10. Right. I have done some calculations or mathematical operations I have performed on this 10, and the key that is obtained is 0. Let us assume that it is 0. So this value 10 should be inserted at 0. So I can take the indexes or the indices of the array as the keys. Right. So where I have to insert my 10 here, the key that is generated is 0. So I have to insert this 10 inside this index 0. Let us take another example, 24. 24 is the value that I want to insert. So after applying the mathematical operations on this 24, let us assume that the key that is generated is 4. Right. So what is the correspondent key for 24?
4, sir.
4. That means you have to insert this 24 inside this 4 at the 4th index. Right. Assume that another case, 36. 36. Let us generate the key as 6. Right. Let me take the function. So I didn't explain about these hash functions and all these things. That's why I am not telling. So let us take the hash function as f of x is equal to x modulo division 10. Let me take this hash function as this x modulo 10. So what is x? It is nothing but the value which you are going to insert. So 36. So in order to generate the key, I should use this function. So 36 modulo 10, what is the value?
6, sir.
The remainder is 6. So this is the key that is generated for 36 value. So the key value pair is 6 and 36. So I should store this 36 inside this 6th index. Similarly 55. What will be the key that is generated? You have to apply this hash function on this 55. 55 modulo 10. 5. Therefore I have to store 55 at the 5th location or 5th index. Next 92.
2, sir.
2. Right. So I should store here 49 43
3,
3
Sir, I have a small note, sir. 53 crore
21. 21. If it is 21, what is the key that is generated? 1.
One,
Therefore
sir.
21. right? Listen carefully. So this is how the insertion takes place. That means when I want to insert an element, I am going to insert that element by generating a key. How I am going to generate the key is by applying the hash function on the value that I want to insert. So 21 is the value that I want to insert. So I apply this hash function 21 modulo 10 and the remainder I got is 1. So I have to insert the element 21 at the key 1. This is how I generated. Now let us look at the deletion operation. Insertion is clear, right?
Clear, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Sir,
So deletion
small doubt, sir.
Yeah, Ajay, please tell me.
Sir, 43 sir, 43 on the part.
Your voice is not clear, Ajay. Your voice is not clear. Yeah, you please come to a clean area and then you please talk to me. Right. Is it clear up to this insertion portion?
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes,
let
sir.
us see how deletion is performed. The deletion operation is almost same as the insertion only, right? For example, if I want to delete 24, so what I will do is I will again apply this hash function, whatever hash function I have defined here. I will apply this hash function on this 24. So what is the hash function if I apply it to it? 24 modulo 10. What is that? The key that I get is 4. So I know the key. So I directly go into this location and then search for this element. So this is how the deletion operation or the search operation is going to be performed. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So the point what I am going to what I want to stress here is, in order to store the key value pairs, we can make use of the simple array like data structure, where the keys are nothing but indexes and you can store the values inside the array, right? So arrays can be used to store the key value pairs. This is what I want to stress. Is it right? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
But why do we require this hashing? Means, as I told, that it makes the searching process very easy, but hashing can also be used in the other case also, where you have the keys of very large size and cannot be directly used as the index. So for example, I have a number like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. This is the value I want to store, right? So if I make use of this hash function, then I will get the result as 8 only. That's not a case. But when I have the key values as very large values, then you can make use of this hash function. Why? Because these large values cannot be directly used as the indexes of the array. The array index always limits from 0 to n minus 1. This is the common point which everybody knows if he knows the C programming language. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So hashing, this is important. Hashing is implemented in 2 steps. The first one is, an element is converted into an integer by using a hash function. This integer value can be used to calculate the index, which is used to store the original element. Right? By reading this statement, you can get nothing. That I am sure, right? So what is that hash means? We have to. This is first step and this is second step. Right. So in the first step, what you have to do is you have to create a hash function. We'll discuss about these hash functions in a short while, don't worry. So you have to first generate a hash value. The first step is generation of hash values. Is it clear? And the second step is index number generation. That's it. So this is the, don't get confused with this key. This is the actual value you are going to store. For example, 26 is the value that I am going to store. So I will generate a hash value first. Hash value, you will get it whenever you apply the hash function on these values. So this is nothing but key. The other name for this hash is key, right? So when you go through backwards and when we discuss the concepts, you can observe that the value you are going to store should have a corresponding key, and the key is generated by using the hash function. The same thing they have repeated here, right? So whatever value you want to store, you will apply the hash function, then you will get a key, but the terminology differs. That's it. So instead of key, they are using the name called, the term called as hash, and instead of value, they are using the term called key. That's it. Don't get confused with this keyword. Is it right up to this point? Right. So once you have a value, the first step is you have to generate the hash for that value. How we are going to generate the hash means by making use of the hash function. How we are going to define the hash function, that and all we will discuss within short while. So once you generated the key, or once you have generated the hash, if this hash function is not mapped to our array size, for example, let me take my array size as 5. So the array index always ranges from 0 to 4. Is it right or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But assume that in the first step where I have generated the key, or else we can call it as hash also, the hash value is something similar to that of so when I operate this 26, this is the actual value. So listen carefully. This is the actual value which I want to store. So in the first step I have generated a hash. Assume that the hash value is some 15, right? But this hash value that is generated in the first step does not fall in the index range. What is the index range I have? 0 to 4 only. So I should map this hash value within this range only. So what I am doing, I make use of the modulo operator, 15 modulo division. What is the array size? 5. So what is the result I have?
0, sir.
0. So the 15 hash value is again mapped to 0. So the 26 has to be stored inside this 0. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Forget
Yes,
about
sir.
what hash function he has used. I have given example that the value you are going to store is 26. For that purpose, as a first step, you have to generate the hash value. So I have applied the hash function on 26 and assume that the generated hash value is 15. But this 15 is not mapped. It cannot be mapped for this index range. Why? Because my index is having a size of 5. My array is having a size of 5 and the index always ranges from 0 to 4. So I should go for the second step. The second step is converting the hash value into the index range. So I take this hash value 15 and I modulo operate it with 5 so that any value will fall into this 0 to 4 only. So for this example 15 modulo 5, I have generated the index number as 0. So I know that this 26 should be stored inside this 0 index. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Clear, sir.
Yes, sir.
But this second point may not be mandatory. This is important. The second point may not be mandatory. Only one step that is very, very important for this hashing is generation of hash values. Only step 1. This is step 1 and this is step 2. Step 2 may not be needed in all the cases, but step 1 is very, very important and it is a mandatory step. Why? Because the entire hashing concept itself depends on generating the hash values. Our purpose is to generate a key, that is nothing but the hash value. So you take the value, you apply hash function and then you generate the hash keys. Is it clear? All this discussion what I have discussed is only 3 simple points. You have values, you have to store it inside the array, but you won't store that elements or values inside the array as it is. Before storing, you have to generate the hash values, or you have to generate the keys. For generation of keys, you will be using the hash function. That means you will apply the hash function on the values such that it will generate a key. So based upon that key, you will store the value inside the array, right? So my entire summary is that one. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now let us look at what hash function is. As I told that it involves some mathematical concepts like functions. So a hash function is any function. You can take any function in from the mathematical concepts, but that can be used to map a data set of an arbitrary size to a data set of fixed size. What is fixed size data set? Can anybody tell me what is the meaning of this statement?
Sir, data allocated to it is finite.
So that means, for example, I have some arbitrary data set of elements. Arbitrary means you can take any number of values. So let us take some 1000 values are there with me. I want to store it inside a fixed size array. Only 0 and so on up to 9. Only my array size is 10. I want to store 1000 elements. I want to map 1000 elements into an array of size only 10. So for this purpose, you have to go for the hash function. So the hash function is any function in the mathematical concept. You can make use of it, this hash function, to map the data set of an arbitrary size. This is arbitrary size. You can take anything. This is the data set of arbitrary size, and we are going to map this data set of arbitrary size into a data set of fixed size. Is it clear?
Clear, sir.
Yes, sir.
So the values that are returned by the hash function, we can call it with different names. As I told that they can be called as keys, they can be called as hash values, they can be called as hash codes, hash sums, or simply hashes. There are a lot of names for it, right? Hashes, hash values, hash codes, hash sums, and then finally we have keys. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now this particular topic is important. What are the basic requirements of a good hash function? Now we know what hashing is. Now we know why hashing is used. We know what are the steps required for this hashing technique. Right. We know what hash function is. Now we are going to discuss what are the requirements for a good hash function. Right. As I told that a hash function is just a function, mathematical function. For example, my hash function, I will take it as x cube. Somebody will come and other person, he may take it as x square plus x. Somebody will come and say that it is x square plus x into 2 by some n, like that they can give, right? So like that any mathematical function you can take, but you keep it in mind that hash function should have the following requirements. Right. The first one is it is easy to compute. Right. When you define a function, you define it in a simple manner, not that you write an algorithm for that function. Right. What is an algorithm? It's a sequence of steps to solve a particular problem, right?
Yes, sir.
So in order to define a hash function, don't write algorithms or don't write some 100 lines of codes, right? So it should be very simple. You define a hash function which is very simple and which is very easy to compute. For example, I define my hash function as x mod 10. Yes, it is valid. Or I define my hash function as x modulo some prime number. Yes, it is valid. Very simple simple hash functions, right? Somebody will come and say x square plus x modulo division 25. Yes, it is accepted. Nobody bothers about this. Right. But don't write algorithms for defining this hash function. It should be very simple and it should be easily computed. So that is the primary requirement of a good hash function. And the second important requirement for the good hash function is they should be the functions which we have defined should distribute the values uniformly, right? So when I use this hash function, it should distribute. For example, I am using this hash function. Whatever keys that is generated, they should be unique, right? But it is not always possible to generate unique keys all the time. For example, let me take two values. Let x is equal to 10. So what is my hash value? What is the hash value for this function?
0, sir.
0. Let us take x is equal to 20. What is my hash value?
Again 0, sir.
0 only,
sir.
right? X is equal to 30. It is
0,
also
sir.
0 only, right? So in all these cases, I am getting or I am generating a hash value which is equal to 0, right? So all these particular 10, 20, 30, all these are mapping to the same location only. They are fighting for this 0th location, right? So that is called as collision. If more than one value is having the same key, 10, 20 and 30, all of them are having the same hash value, that is 0. So that is called as collision, and there are some resolution techniques, collision resolution techniques, which we will discuss later. But the point here we have to concentrate is the hashing or the hash values which you are generating, those should be distributed across the hash table and should not result in clustering. We will see what clustering is in a short while, don't worry, right? So whatever keys that is generated, they should be unique and they should be distributed throughout the table. That is what it is expected from the hash function. And the last one is less collisions, right? So what is a collision? I have described. What is collision?
Same index కోసం different values వస్తాయి సార్.
Right. So if more than one value has the same hash value, or more than one, if more than one value is having the same hash codes, then it results in the collision process, right? Here is what he has described. Collisions occur when pairs of elements are mapped to the same hash value. So if more than one value is having the same hash value, we call it as a collision, right? And as I told that it is impossible to avoid collisions. Collisions cannot be avoided in the hashing, right? Always hashing collisions will occur, but we can minimize the collisions, right? So we can minimize the collisions with the help of the design of a very good hash function. So you should design a hash function in such a way that it generates the hash keys which does not collide with each other, right? Or which have less collisions. So these are the three important requirements of a good hash function. What are they? The hash function should be very simple and should be very easy to compute, and it should uniformly distribute the keys. And the third one is it should have less collisions. Why? Because collisions are unavoidable. That is the reason why any function that has less collisions can be considered as a good hash function. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Now we will see different hash functions that can be used. Few examples we will see, right? The techniques that are used for the hash functions, right? The first one is the division method. Division means, don't assume this particular division. It is not quotient division, it is remainder division. We call it as modulo division, or we can call it as modding operation. right? This is the simple example we have taken earlier, right? X modulo some n. So whatever value you want to store, that is inside this x, and n can be any prime number or any number you can take. So for example, somebody will come and say that n is 5, so x modulo 5 is one hash function, and somebody will come and say that I won't take n as any number, sir, I will take it as a prime number, so I take it as 7, yes, which is accepted. So x modulo 7 is also a valid hash function. Here you can observe that I am using an operation called modulo division. So this is called as a division method for hash functions. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right, and most frequently this modulo division function is used whenever you want to map the arbitrary sized datasets to a fixed sized datasets, right? So in the previous example also we have discussed that I have an array of size only 5, but my hash value that is generated is somewhere 15. So this 15 is out of range of 5, 0 to 5 or 0 to 4. So I should use this modding operation, right? So majorly the modding operation is used to map the dataset of arbitrary size into the dataset of fixed size, right? And as I told that modulo division n, so there are some mathematical proofs which shows that modulo division with a prime number has less number of collisions, right? So there are some reasons to believe that it is better if the table size is a prime number, right? So the denominator part by which you are dividing the value with a modulo division operator, the division should be done with a prime number, right? If it is done with a prime, it is not a thumb rule, you always take the prime number. Nobody is forcing you to take the n as prime number, right? You can take any number of your choice, but there are a lot of mathematical proofs showing that if we apply the modulo division operator using the prime number, then the results will be very good. What do you mean by results are good? You will get a good hash function. What are the qualities of a good hash function? Less collisions, uniform distribution, and what is the third one?
Less collisions.
Less collisions, uniform distribution, and what is the third characteristic?
Easy to compute.
Yes, sir.
Super, easy to compute, right? So when we make use of this prime number, these qualities are the requirements of the good hash function may be satisfied. And coming to the second type of hash functions is the folding method. What do you understand by folding?